you doing, Chris?
Once again, Shannon, Sally, is that everything I'm supposed to do? I just do what they tell me. Good. Well, welcome. Thanks again.
Wow. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. It is absolutely amazing that we have been here for 3 years, and the support and dedication from everybody here has been amazing throughout the year. So thank you all so much. I wanted to take a moment to celebrate the dedication and support that we have with some employees that have been with us for over 15 years.
She ran away.
They have held us together and they have been caring solutions to what we are today. Without them, we would not be here and we would not have any impact on what caring solutions have started and the lives that have changed and touched. So I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to each of you for doing so. Because without you, we would definitely not have what we have. So thank you, ladies. And our gratitude is without words. So what else to say? We have a small token to say thank you, and I need to give that to each today. So with that, Maddie Hahn. Sally Boyd. Sheila Hunter. Amy Watts. And Tish Hinton. So without them, we definitely wouldn't be anything. It's just been amazing, and we've had some wonderful people to learn from. So I'm honored to everything that they've brought to us and helped lead the way. Sally Hunter, for
This is something that was supposed to go to Maddie about a year and a half ago from our staff and residents. And it says, Maddie, thank you for your vision of what Caring Solutions could be for all of us. With love and appreciation, your Caring Solutions family, clients, and staff. And it's got some fancy, colorful stuff next to it. So, welcome everybody. And I think we have tried for a couple years or more to not only raise these gifts dollars for Thanksgiving, but to recognize, and I know we just did this, recognize and honor the founder of Parent Solutions. She tries to fade into the sunset of retirement. I first heard Maddie's distinctive voice in the halls of Woody Haven Learning Center in Columbia, Missouri. And when I asked a couple of my, this is way back in the 80s, when I asked a couple of my fellow staff members if there was a new resident in the hearing impaired program, they said no. They said that's the case manager, Madeline Hahn from St. Louis. And they said furthermore, and not just them, but others said, if you have a child with a disability, you want her to be your case manager. That's how good she is. So fast forward then to the early 1990s, and then Madeline, the Hahn person, walks through the doors of a sister agency to Wood Haven here in St. Louis called Gateway. And I knew she looked familiar. And then I heard her speak. And I said, we want her. We want her. So Maddie and I go way back. I could go along, and I'm going to promise not to. But let's do start with her childhood if we can. So right here, you can see the hills were alive in Switzerland with the sounds of Maddie and her sister. You've got to love this picture. She's the little one on the left, and by the way, her son looks just like her. She looks like she's tweaking the ear of her brother, and then the other boy is ratting her out to her parents. That's where Madeline hails from, and the accent. It's a great picture, and I think this next picture is probably my favorite, because it really is her. You can't see her feet because of the way the slide screen is, but it is very muddy, okay? And when I saw the picture about a year ago, I couldn't help but think, yep, that's Maddie. The odds looked a bit against her in that muddy marathon she was in, but she was running and looked very determined and just trying to stop her. You could just tell. The determination that Maddie has been consistent in thinking of how we can do things better, and even when the odds are heavily against her. We all remember the year 2001. It was a heavy, hard year with 9/11. Even before that, I know it hit Maddie and it hit hard with Tim's passing that summer. Even so, she was more determined than ever to start a new organization. She knew what she wanted, she knew what was needed, and by golly, she was going to make it happen. An organization that would work closely with families to design and provide a service unique for their child, or brother or sister. And in many cases, take people that no other organization would want to serve. All at once, each running through the mud. With some help from our friends, who also became volunteers and board members, Caring Solutions was born that very year, that challenging year. And it started small, from scratch, in her living room, but with big plans. Always focused on moving forward and serving those with great need, many who are in crisis. It's been a few years now that my husband and I were pulling out on our street up Craig Road, not far from the Caring Solutions office, when this car went whizzing by, and I said, hey, I think that was Maddie. And without skipping a beat, Tom said, get out of my way, families are in crisis. And we joked about that phrase, and it would come up at the office sometimes, and Maddie really is a good sport when we tease her, but joking aside, it's a serious thing. There are a lot of families in crisis, and somebody needs to do something. And Maddie knows that so many families, and she knew from her experiences, even as a teacher, when she first started out with kids who had disabilities and many challenges, and she had to, first of all, feed them, dress them, and then get them ready to try to learn. And it was not an easy job, but she kept running through the muck and the mud. Realizing probably at some point there's going to be a lot more muck and mud to run. So, the next picture, there we go. More Luck in Mud. Determined to provide for those in crisis, Maddie kept running, and in 2017, Caring Solutions started the first and still the only therapeutic respite home for those with developmental disabilities and significant behavior challenges. It took a lot of heart, and a lot of others with a big heart, to make Valentine Place possible and happen. It was a major feat. She brought a lot of people along, who brought more people along with shovels and hammers and paint and a willingness to give. It's hard to say no to Maddie, am I right? I knew many of you would agree on that. So I'm about done. If we had, there she is upstairs, it's Valentine's Place was being reconstructed, and with a camera in her hand, not surprising. If we had more time tonight, I know there'd be many of you who would love to be part of sufficiently roasting Maddie, honoring Maddie. But I know she wants us to keep raising money and bidding, and we have the live auction and Fund and Eat coming up. But I do think we have to let her say a few words, whatever she wants to say, because she's Maddie. And I think after 20 plus years, we just want to say thank you for running through the muck and the mud over and over again to make Caring Solutions possible. And I have to add this little, maybe next time, to avoid some of that muck and mud, you should just get on the horse like you did in the one photo I saw, and I couldn't resist sharing. Look at that. That's her. So Maddie, thank you. Come on up and get to talk now.
I am just overwhelmed by all of you who are here today. So many people I have not seen in many years. Cornelius Washington, I haven't seen you in 30 years, I think. So for you all to come out tonight and to celebrate with us is such an honor, and I am just so grateful, thankful that you're here. And I just want to say my family is here, my son, my husband Dale. You know, there's no way I can do this without time tonight. So thank you all for being here tonight. That's just the beginning. I'm going to talk for a while longer. So, as Sally was saying, well, first of all, I'm old now, so it's time to retire. And I have worked in this field for 42 years. And in 1980, I was looking for a job. Some of you in this room remember 1980. Not all of you. Some were not even born then. So in 1980, the unemployment rate was about 10%, and interest rates were about 18–19%. So it was really, really tough to find a job, but I needed a job. That's all. I just wanted a job. I needed to earn some money. So I found this place out in West County. It was a residential boarding school, and Sally already alluded to that, my very first job in this field. And during the 80s, deinstitutionalization of people with developmental disabilities had started. In the mid-70s, the Public Law 94-142 came through, where all children with developmental disabilities had the right to get a free and appropriate education in the least restrictive environment. Well, that meant we are closing down institutions, and that's where a lot of people with developmental disabilities lived in those days. The place where I found my work was an institution. And I can tell you, I saw it with my own eyes, how people with developmental disabilities were treated. There were 100 people living in this building under one roof. Upstairs was a dormitory. The men were on one side, the women on the other side, but the ages of the people were from 5 to 80. And all kinds of developmental disabilities. There were people who needed help with everything, and there were people who were pretty violent and were injuring and hurting other people. I was put in a classroom. I had a teaching degree from Switzerland, which nobody accepted here at that time. But I was put in a classroom with 16 adolescents who had very, very significant behavioral disorders. And every day I went in, I got hit and kicked and punched and sometimes even bit. And the place smelled. And I was cleaning up feces and nobody had their own clothes. Upstairs in the dormitory, it was just bed and locker, bed and locker. Nobody had privacy. Nobody had any privacy. There were no private rooms. There were no dividers between the beds. And it just was a very, very horrible place. But that's how people with developmental disabilities had to live in those days, in many cases. So I went home every day and thought, there's no way, I can't do this job. I cannot do this job. And one morning I came in and this little guy opened the door for me. He had glasses on, his glasses were all smeared up, and he hugged me, and he smiled at me, and he greeted me, and in that moment, this child turned into a career and a commitment for life. He got me hooked. His name was Stephen. He's responsible for all this. He was an amazing young man, and I decided, well, I learned more about this. And at that moment, when Stephen did this, I saw the person behind the disability. I didn't see all these people who couldn't walk or couldn't talk or who were acting out. All of a sudden, I saw that they were all people just like you and me, who had desires and needs, and in that moment, I wanted to help them. I wanted to help them have better lives. And so, that institution, we made some changes, eventually it got closed down. I ended up working for the Department of Mental Health for about 10 years, and then after that I was the executive director at Gateways for about 10 years. And as Sally mentioned, 2001 was a tough year. It was also the year when some of us at Gateways said we wanted to do services differently. We wanted to be in partnership with our families. We wanted to make sure the people we support have choices where they live and how they get support. And the board of directors we had at Gateways joined up with me, and we all together, many other people, helped me start Caring Solutions. And as Sally had already mentioned, we sat in the family room. And do you have a slide up there? So, you know, this is the kind of crowd, this is the kind of people we had starting Caring Solutions, all right? Where's Chidi and Hank? Peace. Yeah. So, we had a good time. We designed this organization from scratch, and we were able to say exactly what we wanted. And what we wanted was to help people with disabilities be treated as human beings and to also serve those people who nobody else wants to serve. Well, you can go back to the other slide. So, in 2002 and 2003, we started to open our first homes. We opened a group home in O'Fallon, and then we opened some supported living homes in St. Charles. And I have to say something about those families who made a commitment, who told us that we would be allowed to serve their sons or daughters, their family members. If any of you have ever had a family member that you turned over to somebody else, into somebody else's care, whether it's in a nursing home, in a hospital, or a place like Caring Solutions, you know how hard that is. And you know that you have to really trust those people, that they're going to have the best interest of your son or daughter in their hearts. The Wilsons are here tonight. Sandra and Jim, where are you? Ooh, back there, way back there. The Wilsons, we spent a lot of time talking, and their son Damon came to Caring Solutions in 2002. His roommate Shannon came to us about that time also, and they're still with us. And some of the staff are still with us, and they're still roommates. It's just amazing. So we have a lot of families who started with us and have been with us for many years. We also did some fundraising. We had a gala in 2002, the first one down at the church of Grand, and because this man, his name is Stuart Zimmerman, who was one of our board members early on with the founding board, he said, Mandy, you cannot provide services unless you raise $50,000. And I was like, come on, no. I want to provide services, but he was right. Because the financial environment in this business is very, very challenging. When we get paid from the Department of Mental Health, all the payments are always, 2-3 months behind. So you gotta have some cash flow. So, anyways, over the years, we went to board members. Some of you are here where we had to go to you at a time when it was time for payroll, and we had to ask you if you could give us a short-term loan so that we could pay our staff. And that happened for quite a while. We opened host families along the way. You saw a couple of host parents up here today that have taken in clients, individuals with developmental disabilities, made them their own family members. And some of our residents had never experienced a family environment in their lives. So that service model was incredible. And later on, about 8 years ago, Shannon French, who is our new executive director, she's not that new anymore, it's been almost 2.5 years now, she opened an office in Franklin County and developed the whole area in Franklin County to provide services there. So we have grown over the years. We serve average about 100 people per year. And we continue to provide more services as time goes on. And Sally already mentioned Valentine Place, which was a huge accomplishment that many of you participated in, and not only by making wonderful donations, but by also using your muscles and shoveling dirt and all kinds of those kinds of things. So, in closing, I want to say that about 2 years ago, I decided I was going to retire. And I told the board of directors, they did a search, and they hired the best executive director you could possibly have. They hired Shannon French. Shannon had worked for us for about 8 years before that. And she also had come up working direct care with clients. She understands our mission. She understands why we are here and what we need to do to support people with developmental disabilities. And we could not have done this without you all. But everybody in this room has contributed in some way to this mission. And we are going to continue to grow. Caring Solutions is going to go on. And we need to continue to get your help. So thank you very much for being here.